Welcome to another episode of Music Musings. I'm your host, Derek, and with me is Pat. Pat, we've been saying it for the last 3 weeks, but it's
Uh-huh.
really spring. It's really spring out there.
It's here. It's out there. I'm smelling a little barbecue, even though it's still a little cold. But I appreciate the spirit of spring. It's upon us. I love it. I love every bit of it. Yeah.
I saw in the weather forecast for this week. We are
Yeah.
speaking to you. This is March 29th.
Mm.
The next 2 days we're gonna hit the 70s.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry. That was supposed to be the
So-
inside me, and I'm sorry for everyone's ears, but that is lovely. I love to hear that. It's here.
And on top of
Uh-huh.
all that, baseball's back. So
Ooh. Who's the Yanks playing?
Yankees swept the Giants. So
Really? Oh.
But you're a Mets fan, right? I forgot.
Yes, but I am. But I still like to see New York on top. But yes, you're right. I am a Mets fan, diehard Mets fan. Sorry for people who are disappointed, but I still like to see New York win at any given cost. So it's okay.
No, I think the Mets also won their series.
Oh,
I think they lost today, though. They
Ah.
lost today.
yeah.
Yeah, they lost today. So, it wasn't quite a sweep as the Yankees, but, they still won,
Oh boy, there we go. We'll sorry guys. We'll go back to that.
That's gonna be all of spring now and just summer. Just your Yankee and Mets updates here and there.
Yeah. You're welcome, guys. Oh man.
Excited.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
well, before we get into what we're talking about today, right? We got to talk about release radar. I only have one. I don't know if you had anything else.
I haven't checked. I've been seeing mostly singles dropping, not like an album yet, but there is an album I'm waiting for that's going to drop on April 3rd, which is Thundercat. He has kind of like that funky sound that everyone kind of knows. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the next one is on April 3rd. I think that's next week Friday. Yeah, next week Friday.
Yeah.
So, that's great.
Okay.
But how about you?
Look out for that. So, Charlie Puth released, well, the album finally dropped, Whatever's Clever. I've had my first listen to it. I have thoughts.
What's your impressions? Go for it.
It's, it's a very mature album.
Okay.
It really highlights I'm not going to go full into this because I need to listen to it more, but it really highlights, he's matured as an artist. He's got Kenny G on there. And he's got James Taylor on there. So if you don't know who those artists are, they're very big. Kenny G, saxophonist, has been on many records, and has been playing the saxophone forever. Or not. And then you have James Taylor, famous guitar player, songwriter. But they're, this sound, and I'm struggling for the words to really describe it. It's just like a very mature sound. Like I envision somebody listening to this album sitting in a nice leather chair with a like in a library. I don't know. It's not a high energy album.
Wow. It's a background music album, kind of ambient a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's fine.
It's fine.
Like there's two good bops on there. There's two singles, I would say, that are fun. And then it's just kind of, he talks about coming of age. He's married now. He's no longer going after, single women, like all that stuff. I'm married. I'm settled down now. I'm a very mature adult. And I like to drink my coffee on a Saturday morning. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Different moods. Moods.
It's a different mood. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, it's a very mature album. I have to listen to it a few more times before I can give my full analysis of this. So anyway, there's that. But anyway, enough of that. what's been your rotation this past week or so?
Oof. All right. So I'm gonna. Damn, there's nothing to be ashamed of, but I have been enjoying a little bit of 1975. I've been listening to "About You." I don't know why. It's stuck in my head.
Mm,
It's been in my it's been in my rotation, and it's really good. Like I know it's probably like overplayed to some people. To me, I like it. And the other one, it's if it's not living. No, if it's not living. If it's not without you, that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's that's been growing on me lately. If you ever get a chance, people, please go give it a listen. There's this the other person I listen to is South African deep house music producer. His name is Bootlish.
Mm,
He's very young, like early 20s. I heard about him a few months ago from different friends in the electronic music producer community, and he's pretty good. Got a lot of South African, mixed with like deep house, so it's like very jazzy. If you ever want to get a listen, it's perfect for almost any type of mood. I put it on for cleaning or running errands. It's great. Um,
okay.
and yeah, and the next, since we're about to get into the topic of this episode, I've been very going down a nostalgic, rabbit hole, and I've listened to a Tribe Called Quest,
Mm,
my personal favorite, the Low End Theory album that I think is everybody's probably famous, their favorite album from them. And the next person that's on my list is a Toronto R&B singer named Roy Woods. He's really
okay.
good. If you get a chance, take a listen to it. There is a song called Romeo and Juliet where he partners with Martin Solveig. He's an electronic music producer. It's really good. Roy Woods is like the vocalist. It's if you ever get a chance, listen to it. But that's what's been in my rotations personally.
Mm.
D- Derek, what do you got for us today? What was been in your rotations this week?
Yeah, I mean it's really been the two I already
Mm,
mentioned, Charlie Puth, Whatever's Clever, giving that a few listens.
yeah.
This one's kind of funny, and I really found this one today actually,
Oh, go for it.
and it was quite funny. So you remember Mike Posner came out with
Yep.
that song,
Mhm.
"I Took a Pill in Ibiza." So
Yep.
that was about 10 years ago, like 10, 12 years ago, right? And a
Yeah, like
quick
mid-2010s,
synopsis,
yeah.
right? A quick synopsis about that song. It's just he literally went to Ibiza and he took a pill to try and impress another artist, Avicii, who was there at the time, who sadly passed
Mm.
away a few years ago. But
Mhm.
so it's a true story, this song, and that was 10 years ago, whatever. So fast forward to now,
Mm.
he made a new song called "I Went Back to Ibiza," and it's about kind of like his, I guess, coming of age again or maturing, where he's now sober. He doesn't take drugs or drink. Um, he's starting a family. So
Mm.
it's kind of a nice story. And the song itself is not great.
Mm.
But I think the story is
Oof.
enough to kind of make up for it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's tough. But you're right. You said if there's a story behind it, then it might make the experience a little bit more understandable for the listener.
Yeah.
That
So
helps.
we
Mm.
will throw it on our Music Musings podcast playlist. And if you haven't
Mm.
subscribed to that, it will be in our bio that you can click the link and you'll subscribe to it. So check us out.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Do we have anything else we want to announce
Oh, okay.
before we
Let's
go into it?
let's All right, guys. We may have touched on it in the last episode, but we have a website for you guys. So
Yeah.
we have a musicmusingspodcast.com. You can go there, everything you can ever need to know about us in terms of who we are, upcoming ideas that we have. You can also listen to the podcast from there. It's an easier way to reach out to us as well. You can shoot a message, it sends it directly to me and Derek. And as well as we're also every little new updates we're going to be doing it can be it's basically a central hub, so you can get everything you need from there. So no need to go to our socials, which it also will give us a link to our socials, but it's a
Mhm.
one location for everything that we're trying to do with this platform. And just as we're growing, that's going to grow as well.
Yeah, very exciting. Hopefully, we'll
Mm,
have some engagement on there as well. Maybe some like polls, or if you want to drop us a
mm,
comment, that will be a space for you to do that. And please
mm,
do. We really would love to hear from you um,
mm.
about anything, feedback, or just ideas, or just comments about how much you really enjoy us. We would love to
Yeah, we would.
hear that.
All right.
Anyway, enough about us. Um,
Mm.
what are we talking about today? I mean,
Uh,
what are we
uh,
going after today?
all right. So everybody, we've been, we always talk about the duos in history in terms of music, and there's always one that has to be mentioned in modern history. And we're going to be talking about OutKast. Now, we're for this segment, we're going to go to down south Atlanta. We're talking about some of the most creative, genre-bending duos ever. We're talking about two artists, two brothers, two completely different styles, but they have meshed it together to make a legendary sound. So it sounds like another duo we know, but we'll talk about that later.
Hmm.
I'm just joking, guys. I'm just joking. So, all right. So now when we're talking about Outkast, first question, who is Outkast? Now, Outkast is a combination of two artists, Andre 3000, aka Andre Benjamin, and his co-host, I'm sorry, co-partner is Antoine Patton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but if I did, I apologize. That's Big Boy. Now, these two met each other in 1992 as teenagers in Atlanta, Georgia. I think they were both going to high school at the Tri Cities High School in Atlanta. They were hanging out. They were always known for being unique, different fashion wise and his interests. But they met each other at Lenox Square Mall, and their mutual love for like hip hop and like everything that they enjoy in terms of art was like the foundation of their friendship, and as well as sooner or later to be their bond in terms of music. So these guys would always hang out in the cafeteria, and they would always, spend time like writing verses and rapping and sharing ideas until one day they decided to meet up with a local producer. It was the group called is Organized Sound, but it's a part of a collective called Dungeon Family. Now they met like Organized Sound is like a production team known as, with Rico Wade, Ray Murray, and Sleepy Brown, who is also a great singer too. Um, they started recording in the basement studio, and they become a part of this collective. And this is where Andre and Big Boy joined in and then started showing. And they're teenagers. They're still just young, hungry, eager to get in there and try their best to, you know, make a name for themselves. And at this time is a very unique time to do this because in the early 90s, when we're talking about hip hop, everybody thought East Coast or West Coast. No one was looking at the South. No one was interested in the South. People are like, what is the Southern sound? And I think that's where the Outcasts decided to kind of like make a name for themselves.
Yeah, and that's
Mm.
interesting because that was such a big. I mean, I don't remember that because we were babies
Young.
when that was happening, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, but it's true. It's like East Coast, West Coast, but
Mm,
no one was thinking of the South. What was
right.
happening there, especially like this duo, these
Mm,
kids coming out of Atlanta. It was just like,
mm,
what is happening?
mm. Yeah.
So I didn't know that they came. This was the Dungeon family that they came out of.
Mhm.
Was that so? That was a group within the school that they were going to.
No, it was a group in Atlanta. So the Dungeon Family is just a name for the basement studio was called the Dungeon, but you had like the Organized Sound, which is the production team. They had like they were working with other
Oh, okay.
artists at the time,
Mm.
and Andre and Big Boy were just they were just kind of these new kids that were just interested. They were eager, they were hungry, and they were hanging out with like these people, and then they got kind of get part of the collective. but that was just the name of the group. It's just a bunch of rappers and producers that came together and recorded in the similar studio. So
That's
they were
cool.
part of that Dungeon Family collective, as they like to say. But
Now I remember like they
mm,
were, and I might be getting ahead of this here, but
no,
like
go for it.
they were really, again, because you were talking about like the South and even Atlanta at the time, like nobody really even knew
Mm,
Atlanta or what was happening there.
right.
So would they, like, they helped to really push Atlanta in that game and like get it noticed, right, and
Mm,
get that recognition?
right. They were one of the biggest in terms of well, first off, duos and artists at the time. There were other artists that came from Atlanta in the South that we'll also get to another time, but no one really hit the barrier of mainstream like these guys did. And we'll get into their career and their future discography in a later date and time. But to understand like the 3000 and Big Boys like sound. So when you think about Andre 3000, you're thinking of somebody who is experimental, he's genre pushing, his lyrics are always like they're almost poetic and very like his ability to rhyme sounds almost like he's talking to you, which is very unique.
Right.
It's almost
Right.
it's like I barely catch the rhymes because I'm like, is he just talking? He's really good. And then you have Big Boy, who is more of a he's smooth, he's grounded, he has very good flows. He's more of he's more traditional of a rapper comparatively, but he's extremely good at the fundamentals.
Mm,
So, these two, they like the fact that they had such a unique sound and they both said, and they meshed well together. Their styles complement each other. So, and then that's where, we will get into like their sounds as like, we're talking about Andre 3000. He loved Prince. He loved all kinds of different artists and he had different inspirations. And as well as, you can hear it with like there's funk, there's soul, there's jazz, there's rock. There's elements of that in the production style. And it gets very good as their career goes on, they get much more in depth with the artistry.
I remember, like, I mean, I
Mm,
would always remember Andre 3000. Like, I knew who Big Boy was, and obviously, like, his
yeah.
style and the
Mm,
flow that he had. But I think something that stood out for me with Andre was, or not Andre, but like his stage name, Andre 3000, was just like his style and his
mm,
fashion that he had
mhm,
in all the
mhm,
music videos that I used to watch. Um, it was always very, like you said, influenced by like Prince or
mm,
um, his own sense of style that was just so strong,
mm.
especially at that time. Like nobody,
Yeah.
that wasn't happening anywhere
N
else.
no. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely right. Like, and we'll get it explains a lot into who he is as a person today, and
Mm,
we'll definitely get in there. But from the beginning, both of these guys had such a uniqueness at a time where everybody was trying to be either East Coast or West Coast, and these two were, and later on they developed their own sound, which today is still some of the greatest music ever created, and I think in modern history. But
yeah,
go on.
I remember
Mhm.
yeah, I remember a lot of the albums, just the music videos themselves were very entertaining to watch. And
Mm.
I will we'll get into it later, but just it was such like a it was
Yeah.
such a short-lived, I feel like, period of time with
Yeah.
OutKast.
Yeah.
Like, and then they just kind of like faded, and then it was just they were just
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
And like
Uh,
I remember being like, "What happened to them?" And it was
mhm.
like 10 years later, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I guess they're just gone." Like I don't know what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. And we'll definitely dive into
We'll
that
get into
because
that.
we'll get into that because I love that. Because trust me, you're asking the $1 million question that everybody asked, and they were like, "We wanted more. What happened?" And especially and I'll get into it because Speaker Box and Love Below was one of their biggest commercially selling albums, and then that was it. And we'll
Right.
get to that later and later.
We're
We'll
gonna
definitely
have
will.
we're gonna have a counter today that's just like we're gonna get into that later.
Someone make a little ticker and just put a counter at the top. That's good. Yeah, yeah. Because
uh,
it's oh man, but yeah. So When we're talking about their first album as a duo, which is Southern Playlist Cadillac Music, which is a
Mm,
very unique album title. I guarantee. There's no spaces. It's all one word. So if you can
mm.
say it fast, you're the best. But but laid back, this album was very early in their careers, which is like the beginning of the artistry. The production was very like gritty and muffled, which I think intentional, but it also could be just the limitation of technology at the time. But even in this album, it blended elements of jazz, rock, West Coast production, East Coast production, despite, they're from the Southern, from the South. But these guys demonstrated how hungry they were. And they were very young. I think they recorded this at like 18, 20. And, Big Boy and 3000 were they were ready to just make a splash. And, and I'll give an example. When you think about this album compared to their album that we know them from. So there's a song on this album called Get Up and Get Out, which also, was like a very, all produced by Organized Sound. And this song, for example, was produced with like an East Coast type sounding music. So you're thinking when you think East Coast, think like Jay-Z, think like Nas, think something with groovy heavy bass with elements of like brass or trumpet sounds, like lightly in the background with a boom bap drum style, which is like common with a heavy emphasis on the snare being like the most heightened element in the production, which is just it just gives it that unique sound. And then with Call of the Wild, which is a different one, which sounds like a West Coast, which uses a G funk synth bass with that bass sliding that you think of when you think of like Dr. Dre or Ice Cube, when you're thinking of like that type of sound, which is using also combined with like Tracio drum style, which is like a 3-kick sequence to match with the bass with the clap on 2 and 4. Now, I know it sounds very unique, but at the beginning of their career, they were kind of experimenting and still at the same time trying to find out, okay, who are we? So these two songs on this first album is literally a West Coast type song and then an East Coast type song. So it's very mixed, which shows their versatility.
Yeah, and I think that's something with them.
Mm,
Their sound is extremely unique. Like especially at
mm,
that time, you had these heavy, Jay Z, Snoop Dogg, like with very distinct, unique
mm,
styles.
mm-hmm.
But sometimes it can sound similar.
Yeah.
Um, and then you just had OutKast that was completely different from
Mm, mm,
everyone else.
mm,
And I think that's what gave them such an advantage at that time and still today of no one had that sound. No one had these two very contrasting styles
mm,
in a duo group. That wasn't
mm.
something that was really present at that time, um, especially in that genre that they were kind of sitting in.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And to give a little bit more, and this is where we'll get back into this later. This proves the point. Just add to do
We'll
it.
get back to it.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So because they were able to, because East Coast and West Coast dominated the '90s.
Mm,
Until late '90s is when the Southern sound started to develop a kind of real estate in music. But in the beginning, the fact that they were able to be comfortable with the East Coast and the West Coast gave them a little bit more of an edge in terms of versatility when they do collaborations later. So when they
mm,
collabed with different artists in down the line, they were comfortable with it because they were already there. But they were at the same time they were doing this, but they were establishing their sound at like early 20s. So it's like it gives testament that they were trying. But you can still hear a little bit of their jazz, their funk, their gospel inspirations in their production, which you can hear, and it will become a staple, a part of their sound.
mm. I wonder
Yeah.
did either of them now uh, did they have any like formal training in any of this kind of the sound, or was this just they grew up with it and listened to it all the time?
you'd be surprised they grew up with it. I think they had such. I think they were around music to some degree with like growing up and being a part of the church. You hear elements of gospel, and I
Mm,
think 3000 had some sort of piano experience. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you. I believe he had. I know he has some
mm,
sort of instruments like experience like at a young age, but
mm.
he always. I think it was piano or guitar. I'm not sure which, but it's one of them. But he had some element of it around him. So he has like, which we'll touch in a little bit, is that he has familiarity with like music production and or like the idea of how music theory works.
I think he had, it wasn't until later in life, he actually
Mm,
had training on piano, like
yeah.
formal training, but
Mm,
most things he picked up either it was by ear or just,
yeah.
yeah, listening to things, and he would just kind of like play along and picked up like, that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm not even that it just proves how great 3000 and Big Boy were at the time, like 18 and 20. They were like, yeah, we're going to be rappers and we're going to be stars. Like
Hmm.
at the time they were really really good. Um but
I wish, and they got it. They went for it. They
They
did it.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did at the early 20s. And then their next album, which is Atilians, which is a very darker, more introspective. They're starting to experiment. They're beginning to enter the groove of their artistry. They're starting to have more familiarity with what they're trying to do, especially with their production. We're getting elements of reggae. As always, they're bringing in jazz, the gospel sound into their hip hop sound,
Mm,
and both Big Boy and 3000 are much more seasoned in their lyrics. They're more comfortable with their flow. They're more comfortable with what they're trying to portray. And 3000 in particular starts becoming a little bit more abstract, the storytelling and the visionary kind of like elements he applies in his lyrics, where Big Boy has become more clever with his punchlines. He can hop between different flows, but he always stays in the pocket based on the BPM of the tracks. So these guys they're getting there to the point in 1996 they released this album and they're automatically just as close as some of the best that we think of.
mm.
Mm.
I gotta be honest. I did not listen to that album. That's not an album that's wasn't in my playlist.
It's all right.
Uh, but
It's okay.
I gotta listen. I gotta listen to it. I gotta listen to a lot of it, really, because the only album which
Yeah.
I know
It
we'll get to it. Um, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I've only really heard maybe one or two. I think
Mm.
two albums I've heard by them.
Yeah. Um, I think for most people, I think Stankonia, which is the
Hmm.
2000s album, that's the album I think introduced most people to OutKast, and I'm no different. I discovered them on Stankonia when I was a kid, and then
Hmm.
I forgot who told me like, oh, you got to listen to AT Aliens or you got to listen to Southern Cadillac playlist music. Like that was then that's I discovered them on that album, and then I went back. So
Right.
so that's just like I think that's most people's experience with them.
Yeah. So we'll
Mm.
get to it. We're gonna get
Yeah,
to it.
well,
We're gonna
we're
get
gonna
to
get to
more
it.
albums.
Yeah. So by AT Aliens, we're getting, these guys are becoming more confident in their artistry. Their lyrics are becoming much more clever. They're becoming more comfortable with their things. And if anything, actually, they started getting into the production on their music. So like, yes, it's
Mm,
they're still producing with Organized Sound and other producers with them, but they're starting to get more intro into it. I think this is where 3000 started to get playing more piano, started getting involved with the drums. So this you can hear like they're getting more comfortable because okay, we have a little bit more understanding of what we're trying to do.
right.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think that's like true with any artist.
mm,
As you grow, you develop more identity with what your sound is,
mm.
which I think is what they were doing here. Is they experimented a little bit, and now it's like okay, we're kind of refining what that sound is, and let's hone in on it.
Right. Exactly. And now we're getting into the next album, which is 1998, which is Aquemini. I haven't personally been this attached to the album, but I might have to listen to it. Most people saying it's like these guys have like hit their stride in terms of understanding their sound. They claim it to be a masterpiece. I have
Mm,
heard a few songs from it. I don't hold it that close, but it's still good. It's just really, it just shows how these guys are entering a groove where they're just, the momentum was on their side at this point. And now we get to the album that everyone knows them for, which is Stankonia. Now this is like the, in my opinion, my favorite album,
mhm.
my personal favorite. So we're talking about like these guys are experimenting, they're just trying things and they're dominating mainstream. We're talking about their lyrics of social, like they're talking about social commentary on racism, politics, consumerism, like personal relationships, and just like they're just getting creative with it. They're not even,
Yeah.
they're now so confident in their control of their artistry. They're just like, what can we do now? And
Mhm.
3000 for certain was definitely becoming that guy. He was eccentric. He's bringing that bending energy that everyone knows him for, and he's just constantly just bringing like, we're talking about like Miss Jackson, which is like smooth and it's like deep. It's fun. It's always like fun and catchy. Um,
It's a
there.
bop, and
mm,
you can't not
No.
dance to that song. Like, it's
Uh
such a
huh.
fun song.
I
Um,
get it. Uh huh.
it's yeah, that's a Miss Jackson. That's
Yeah, I'm sorry, Miss Jack. Oh, okay, see, it started. I can't help it. Then you got another classic hit, "Bombs Over Baghdad," which is
mm,
like an adrenaline, wild, careless, energy song with like elements of gospel and just rapid fire bars. And then their other single, which everyone knows, "So Fresh and So
fresh,
Clean."
so clean.
so
Clean, clean.
yeah, it's slick. It's cool. That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Like they're just having fun with it. They're fun. They're confident. They're laid back with this. It's just this album is my personal favorite. Is my personal favorite. It's just these guys are just like, we're gonna do whatever we want, and you guys gonna love it, and we're just gonna keep trying stuff. So
And sure enough, people loved it.
yes, they did. That album, Miss Jackson and So Fresh and So Clean, is still being played on mainstream music today.
Mhm.
Like it is still this came out in 2000s and it's still like a relevant song today. People are listening to it, people are vibing to it. It is just like that's how I think this is like one of their biggest commercial successful albums they've had.
Mhm. Definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. And now we're going to get into the album that I think probably tops them all. Told you we were gonna get there. We were gonna
Yeah,
get there.
we got there. We're here.
we,
We've
we're here
arrived.
now. All right. Now this one is a unique concept, which is Speaker Box and the Love Below. Now this album, which won Grammys, the album of the year, it's
Mhm.
gave us the classic singles "Hey Ya" and "The Way You Move." This was a dual disc album where
Yeah.
both Speaker Box was Big Boy's album and The Love Below was 3000's. And they meshed it together to make a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So, I feel like I've been chatting. So, I just want to ask you, when you heard Hey Ya, what was your first reaction?
Wild.
That's accurate. That's exactly what it is.
I remember
Uh,
this album,
mm,
a couple of ways. I think I
okay.
first saw the music video
Mm-hmm.
for Hey Ya,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That whole concept, and then I really dig the song. But then I also remember going to FYE, which does not exist anymore,
Oh, throwback.
and I remember the way this album was like being sold in
Mm,
CDs was
mm,
so cool because it was a dual CD box or whatever, right?
mm, mm,
And I remember it had like two different themes and like artwork
mm, mm,
for the speaker box and the Love Below. So like
mm,
it literally looked like you were buying two different artists like albums
mhm,
and they put it together,
mhm,
which essentially is kind of what it was, which was such a I don't know why it was so mind blowing, but it was. It was just mind blowing how this album was just like put together. Um,
Yeah.
Genius.
Mm. Genius. I love that. That's fantastic. Yeah, I remember my first experience with this, and I was like, like these guys are amazing. First off, I think most people enjoy 3000's music, and I am definitely considering him one of the best to ever do it. But
Hmm.
the fact that Speaker Box, which was Big Boy's side, we were talking about heavy bass, a lot of funk, southern swagger, polished but street rooted. We're talking about the classic single, which "The Way You Move," which is like a smooth. That's the radio. Here's the crazy thing: there's two
Hmm.
singles on this
Yeah.
album. Two
Yep.
singles. "The Way You Move," which was Big Boy's single, which was like smooth, radio friendly, catchy. It's a perfect balance of groove and lyricism with Sleepy Brown, the producer I mentioned earlier. He
Hmm.
was the hook. He's the one who sang the hook on that. I like the. I'm gonna
Oh,
start
really?
singing it. Yeah, that's Sleepy Brown.
Huh.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. How well they were doing the I'm sorry, Big Boy side of the album. And he also touched on the beginning of the song where he says OutKast is always everlasting. Like people thought they were clashing. He was like, no. He said, no, this my partner had to go do some acting, and that's why he wasn't there. So it was a fun play on words, but it was also to
Right.
address rumors at the time.
Mm. That's
Mm,
smart.
yeah.
That's really smart. Um,
Mm,
but it's yeah. This. I mean, Hey Ya
mm,
and The Way You Move.
mm. Yeah.
You could listen to those singles today, and it'd
Timeless.
be top of the
Yeah.
charts.
Yeah, they're timeless. They're guaranteed. If you play that at any party, The Way You Move in Hey Ya, it is guaranteed. I don't care who you are, your foot is tapping. Your foot is
Hmm.
tapping to that. It is a guaranteed catchy pop. Like you cannot deny that. So,
And I think it had a
um,
lot to do with
mm,
how it was composed, like how the music
mm,
kind of just supported either the singing, the rapping, however it flowed. It I don't. There's no musical term. It just blended well or flowed really well.
mm,
And I
yeah.
think the writing composition of it was just chef's kiss. As the kids would say.
Yes, and it was great. And here's what I'll say before I switch over to you to let you talk about the Love Below. But yeah, it's just like this was. I think people always when they think Outcast, they always think 3000. They see him more of the star, and I think with Big Boy, he was trying to explain like, yeah, it takes both of us. It takes us both to make the music that you guys love. And I think that's what Speaker Box was, which was his declaration to music that like I have real estate here, I belong here.
Mm,
So, yeah.
yeah. Um. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Andre, the Love
Mm,
Below,
mm,
his side of the album,
mm,
um, which was a very contrasting style
mm,
because it blended elements of funk, pop, jazz, rock, and then
mm.
his unique, strange, weird brilliance that he would bring upon the
Yeah.
sound.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and this quote that we have here, I think Andre said it best of he's an artist and he's not just a rapper.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
which I think it's important because, rappers are artists, but he wasn't just that one
Mhm.
note
Yeah.
of just being a rapper. It's like I can also play
Mm.
instruments and compose music and be weird and strange and it's
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So he really saw it as I'm an artist.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's how he stood upon it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, this side had Hey Ya, Roses, which that was such an awesome music video.
Mm.
Also,
Mm.
I remember this song. That was a throwback. Okay, Roses, funky,
Yeah.
theatrical, and petty in the best way. The storytelling in it is hilarious and
Mm.
sharp. So again, lyrics, songwriting, brilliant um,
Mm.
by Andre. And
Mm.
then Prototype. very smooth, emotional, futuristic R&B vibes.
Mhm.
And the other song, "She Lives in My Lap," experimental and very intimate,
Yeah.
uh, pushing boundaries on structure and sound. So,
Mm,
Andre or 3000 fully
mm,
stepped outside the hip hop world here.
mm.
Took some risks,
Yeah.
a little messy, but I think that's what gave him his unique sound,
Mm,
and his creativity.
mm,
But this is what made the album really kind of feel legendary, is this
mm.
mix and his
Yeah.
side of it.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you that 3000 and I personally that's why I'll let you take this because I consider him as one of the greatest artists to ever do it, especially in hip hop, but I think in artists in general. Just the fact that
Mhm.
he saw not just one way to do music or one way to be, he saw all lanes and he was like, I want to dabble with everything. And his melodic rapping slash singing is it's always been very wonderfully like experimental and
Right.
at a time where I think people were especially in the 2000s, which was like an era where everybody was fighting for real estate or like in terms of for the listeners ears, and they were from the south, which was at the time it was starting to grow, but I think they were the first pioneers to really establish that we can be unique and we can be different and that can be accepted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just the confidence too from
Yeah.
both of them of just, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do this little experiment,
Mm.
and our sound's gonna be different. And frankly, we don't care, because we know we're really good at it. So if you
Yeah.
don't like it, then whatever. But people
Mm.
loved it, and I think that that says volumes right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and this album won album of the year. It sold
Hmm.
millions. It's dominated charts. Some of this music is still played today, and I hear it on the radio here and there. I hear it
Hmm.
random places, and it's just that's timeless music right there. And I
Hmm.
love that they demonstrated that all forms of listeners can enjoy us their sound, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
there's still kids that listen to OutKast to this
Yeah.
day. I mean, it's still around. It's not gone completely. So
Mhm.
it's wild. I mean, that's 26 years
Yeah.
ish since they
Yeah.
made it big. It's wild. It's just
Yeah.
wild. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what else to
It
say.
is. And now we move on to the part that we didn't wanna acknowledge, which is the split. And
Bum
it
bum
really
bum.
yeah, I know, but it really wasn't a split. People
No.
assumed it was. So they released an album, called Idlewild, which is based on it was a soundtrack for a movie in 2006. And they kind of went separate ways. And it wasn't because they didn't like each other or they couldn't agree. It's actually simply 3000 was starting to have not an identity crisis, but he just didn't want to do hip hop anymore. He didn't want to be, lumped in with just being a rapper. He wanted to explore, he wanted to be into acting, he wanted to do fashion, he wanted to explore other sounds of music in general. So he just was kind of just no longer he didn't have the drive to be in the studio comparatively like he used to in the past. Um,
Hmm.
where I think Big Boy still was in, and is still he released a few I think his next album, which was 2007 or 2008. Um, or 2006, I think actually. But he started to continue having his own genre of I'm sorry, his own discography of music where I think 3000 just kind of like lost it. He started to look for other avenues of creative expression,
Hmm.
and and it's just that 3000 was starting to develop like anxiety. He was starting to get more, feeling all the pressure from the fame, and he just wanted a quiet life. He just wanted to just, he was just wanted to be more. He wanted to live the artist life. That's he just wants to create. He didn't wanna be a celebrity, and I think that's the difference, that people was like I think wasn't, vocalized, because Big Boy
Mm,
and him still have a very great relationship. He just understands. He's just like, okay, I understand. We started this at like 18, 20 years old, 16, if anything, and we've done it for like 15, 20 years, or not say 15, 20 years, but like about 10, 15 years. And I think it's time to say, yeah, it's okay. We're done. We don't have
yeah.
to do it anymore.
And
Yeah.
that, it's a lot of
Mm,
respect for that, right?
yeah.
Because especially for 3000,
Mm,
to come to a point where it's it's like burnout almost in a way.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I've done this forever, and now, the pressures of everything around me,
Mm,
it doesn't make it fun, or not even fun. It just, the creative process is getting squashed by this pressure,
yeah.
and I can no longer be creative, which,
Yeah.
what's the point?
Right.
Um,
And that's really important that, I think people assumed that there was a big beef between them, and no, 3000 just he actually, I think he went and spent time in Japan. He just started having more of a interest in other things, but
mm,
he did return from time to time, and 3000 would, come back from time to time, and he'll jump on an album for an artist and still deliver some of the most magnetic, if not the most powerful verses on the same album. So much to the point where I'm just kind of like, I don't think you should do that because he might overshadow you. but
mhm,
but you could tell the talent was still there, and it's obvious that he's just really good at his craft. Where I think Big Boy continued with several albums. He continued collabing with people from Atlanta, the South, so Killer Mike and Run the Jewels, Sleepy Brown, which is the producer singer I mentioned before, Pharrell, and he still continues to make music today. Where 3000 is more interested in films, fashion, and from time to time he'll make contemporary type albums, which is like the Seven Piano Sketches and the New Blue Sun, which is like his flute album, where
mm,
he's just creating. He creates, but he's not like he said, he's an artist, not a rapper. And I think
right.
that's where some people need to just be comfortable with that. Like they're, when they heard the album in 2023, it was like, oh my God, 3000 is releasing an album. And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm singing. I'm playing a flute. I'm
Yep,
playing like instruments. That's what I want to do." And people were. I remember at the time, people were a little upset, and I was like, "No, this is great. And actually, some of it is really good." But
yeah,
no, I'm like, I'm happy that he says this is what makes him feel fulfilled, and I'm like, go for it.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I respect that. I mean,
Mm,
he's a very creative person, and again, I think he's an artist, and if he wants to
mm,
do, if he's gonna explore other avenues, and let him do it.
yeah. Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's really what 3000 is, and I think he'll always be, in my opinion, the one of the best to ever do it. I think people have such a, harsh opinion about like, "Oh, I want him to continue making music the way I perceived him from the beginning," but it doesn't, work that way.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
People can do what they want.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, there you go.
Yeah, but the legacy is still fantastic. We're talking about 6 Grammy Awards, over 20 million records sold, and if anything, I can't think of any other duo in hip hop that has had the success that these guys have had. I can't think of, and maybe music history, to be
Nope.
honest with you, maybe modern music history at least. Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing comes to my mind.
Yeah, like it's really good. That I love, that these guys have pushed the envelope. They pushed each other, and and especially at a time where no one really was listening or checking for the South, they 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 fought their way especially at a young age. And
Mhm.
I think this was a great example of when two creative minds that understand each other work well together, and the rest is history.
Yes,
Mhm.
just had a little technical difficulty, so I
Yeah, I was
I don't
kinda
know.
stuck for a sec, I was worried.
Yeah. Can you why don't you repeat what you just
Mm.
said? Because I think just in
Sure.
case we
No
don't
problem.
lose.
Just in
You know.
case. Just in time. So yeah, I was saying like in terms of like at the time where artists were, when they think East Coast, you're thinking Jay-Z, you're thinking Nas, and then at the West Coast, you're thinking Snoop Dogg, you're thinking Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and a few others. That the South, fought for their chance to be considered like, hey, we deserve to be heard. Like we're from Atlanta, we're from Houston, we're from Memphis, and these two guys from Atlanta bonded and developed such a unique sound that became their creative force that developed like the element of combining so many different genres and sounds to develop a unique sound, which is now Atlanta, which is considered like the creation of like it's just like a multi-plot of all kinds of sounds.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
it's inspiring what they were able to do in such a short amount of
mm,
time when you look at it.
mhm.
Um, and then they just were like, "All right, we did it. Later, peace.
Yeah, that's it. Now we're
We
done.
out." And we're
Now,
still we're still friends, but we out. But we out.
yeah. They're like, we hit all the targets. We'll see what we can do now, and we'll just try stuff now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
incredible. So
Mm,
I mean they really have showed you can be unique, you can be your
mm,
own style, you can be weird
mm.
and still dominate the charts like they have.
Yeah, for real. They really did. And it's like and inspired so many different people. And I mean, other Atlanta artists have, became more mainstream and et cetera. But I think, especially at the time, they were the first to do it, in my opinion, that had success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot think in recent, modern
Yeah.
history of or at least the
Mm,
last 20, 30 years of a duo or even a
mm.
group that's accomplished what they were able to do with their sound in such
Yeah.
a relatively small amount of time.
Yeah. Like 10 plus years, something like that. Yeah. 10 to 12 years. Yeah. They said everything they needed to do. They still create independently, but the duo will always be forever. But they're still just two different artists that create in their own separate ways. And if you like either one of them, they still release music. They still collab with other artists, some of your favorite ones, and that's history at this point.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Any
So,
any final thoughts that you may have?
no, I think
Mm.
I need to listen to more of OutKast and go back to some of their
Yeah.
older albums.
Mm.
But I think it's a question, we should pose to the listeners. What do
Mm.
you think? Do you
Yeah.
think OutKast was one of the greatest duos in hip hop history? And let us know what you think.
Mm.
Email us, please. musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let us know. But I always
Mm.
feel like a teacher in these moments when
Mm.
when we ask a question, because it's like, was OutKast the greatest duo in hip hop history? Why or why not? And you have 500 words. Go. We'll see.
Oh man.
Your review will be graded.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, by both of us, but mainly just Derek because he's the actual teacher. I wouldn't know how to grade. I was just kidding.
But all right, well,
Yeah.
any other thoughts, final thoughts there, Pat?
No, I think this is, I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, and I just wanted to get a chance to let everyone hear. I'm sure we've all heard their music in one way, or another, but for me, this has been a personal like. I love these guys. I've listened to their career, listened to their discographies separately and together. And I'm still like learning little things. I think I need to go listen to Aquaman. I can't pronounce that one, but the one between AT Aliens and Stedconia.
Mm.
But I think everyone should just if I had to recommend an album for them to listen, if you never heard of OutKast, besides Hey Ya and The Way You Move as the singles, I think Speaker Box and Love Below is a great intro into their sound. And I think Stankonia and then ATLiens would be last, in my opinion. I think is their best work, in my opinion. But also, if you have a chance, listen to their separate discographies. They've continued to make music. They still collab. They still create. And I think they're, in my opinion, the best out of Atlanta, in my opinion.
Wow. Big words.
Yeah.
Big words. He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong. But
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. And we will see you next time. Please check out our website, Music Musings Podcast. Or is it? No, it's just musicmusings.com. Right? I don't even know. I don't even know.
Musicmusingspodcast.com. Yeah.
Well,
rate us 5 stars.
The link will be in our bio in podcast. You'll see it. So just please check on it. Check us out. Send us a comment. Send us an email. Subscribe to our Spotify playlist. And as always, we'll catch you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you have an idea for an intro or an outro that we could play on our show, please send to musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please email us at musicmusingspodcast@gmail.com.